Welcome to the LXC.
So, welcome to the TopHat Lounge, episode 7. I did figure out last week was 6, so yay! I had no idea. So this week, we are minus Resilient, sad face, and of course we're minus Doki. He should be back next week, and off of vacation. We have returning with us, of course, TD Riven. Say hi, Riven.
Hello, everyone.
We have Taco.
Oh, that's me.
Yes, that's you. We have Cherrie returning with us.
Good morning.
And we have Storm. Who will be here later. Yes. Sorry, I'm just reading off names like he's here and he's not here. We already knew that. So he will hopefully be joining us by the time we hit Crusader. So we'll start off with the normal first topic of highlights from this week's games. Any leagues that you happen to be watching where a game caught your eye? Start off with Taco.
Yeah, Riven's team. Got a nice little payout this week. I'm just wondering how much you guys got paid.
PayPal is great. I'm feeling pretty rich.
Ah.
Yeah. No.
That's one answer. How about your teammates? Get a bigger pay cut?
Potentially. You know? I can't disclose.
It's on the detail.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, I can't disclose. Maybe some teammates got paid more. I'm not sure. Maybe. For context for the viewers, we are of course referring to TD Blessed versus NLE Valkyries, which ended up being a blowout. NLE. Well, game 1 was close for about 15 to 17 minutes, and then it wasn't close after that. So
You guys got bent over and fucked. That's all I'm saying. That's what happened. It's okay. It happens. We have off days. Our PayPals may look different at the end of the day, but...
Yeah, unfortunate. It was... We'll definitely get into it more once we roll around to Sentinel, but that was a unfortunate series. And we get to rebound against Angie, so this is great. No, it's all good. For me, I guess game of the week would probably be or highlight. I don't know. Do I really? Highlight of a game. No, I'm not gonna.
Alright, so no highlight for Ribbon. What about you, Cherrie?
Yeah, low lights maybe.
Yeah. I don't really got a highlight either. I mean, all the Sentinel series were all 2-0s. Was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it happened.
It happened. Things happen. I do know we do have 2 games that have not played, so we couldn't even use them as highlight possibilities. I know in Arbiter, we have Team Siren versus Team Spelling Bee champions are going to be playing tonight at 8. And then in Crusader, we have Galaxy Gaming versus RAR will be playing tonight at 8. And on 9/4, OMT Zeus versus Contingent Yellow. So, yeah, we have 3 games we couldn't even be like, yeah, that was an awesome play they made this week. Sad face. All right, well, then I guess that means that we're going to go ahead and move on over to Arbiter. Woo! That was quick.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yippee,
So
yippee.
this week we had we did have a lot of games were played in week 6. We did have Trash Panda versus Tactical Feed, where Tactical Feed went 2-1. We had
Mhm.
OSG 2-1 over TD Royal. We had, of course, TD Harmony going 2-1 over Rift Busters. And then we had 3 forfeit matches.
Yep.
Yeah. Because RAR forfeited, giving TD Poro a couple wins. We had, of course, Swashbucklers and Broadside Buccaneers, each giving their teams, Dynasty and Monarch, their free 2 wins. So out of those, the games that were played, what are you guys thinking? Any ideas of cool stuff that happened in any of those games? We'll start with Riven.
Well, as a TD player, I have to shout out TD Harmony for getting that win for themselves. I'm pretty sure that that does lock them playoffs. I'm pretty sure. So, congrats to them. That 2-1 victory, very much needed for them. And of course, even though it wasn't FF, TD Poro getting those 2 wins puts them in a really good spot in Sector 1 for playoffs. Even though they aren't fully locked yet, it does put them in a really good position to lock that for themselves. So, overall, doing all right for TD. Of course, Royal ended up losing to Avalanche, but that was a back-and-forth series, and it gave me a lot of hope for them moving forward. They did take a game off of Avalanche, which is currently the number 1 team. And yeah, I don't know, Taco. Did you see anything in Arbiter that you liked?
Oh, Tactical Feed just locks in for playoffs after the win over Trash Pandas.
Yes, they did.
And that was mainly the biggest thing that happened this week that I caught my eye, at least.
Yeah, locked in teams is, of course, Avalanche. Tactical Feeds now locked in. Conduit Marnock, of course, is locked in. Team Siren is locked in, and TD Harmony is locked in. So we have 3 spots. 3 spots left.
In terms of Sector 1, looking at the match results, TD Royal and Trash Panda Esports, while both losing their series, so the number 1 and number 2 seeds, respectively, both did take a game off, which, when they seem to be the teams that are in most danger of slotting into that 5th playoff spot with only 1 match left, taking that 1 game is still very important. What I will say is that if we look towards next week, for their matches, Trash Panda Esports has to play TD Poro, and TD Royal has to play against Dynasty Eclipse, and based on the standings, that should be a lot easier of a match for TD Royal than it would be for Trash Panda Esports. So, I have higher hopes for TD Royal to take that last playoff spot.
Yeah.
Even if Trash Panda Esports 2-0s TD Poro, it's still gets very close because TD Poro's at 10-4, so it's hard to knock them out.
Well, yeah.
Contention.
Yeah. If Trash Panda 2-0s TD Poro and Royal does not get a game, then it will push Poro down to 4 and Royal out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Cool beans. Does anybody have an MVP that they noticed from Arbiter that kicked some ass this week?
I believe it was Hunter from Avalanche, but let me double check. I don't want to confuse the players. That would be horrible.
Okay.
Yes, it was Avalanche. Or not Avalanche. It was Avalanche, but it was not Hunter. It was the jungler, Novocaine.
Yes.
Pulling off some massive victories, pulling out a Hecarim, which you don't see often, and you can't play at all. And then going to the big tree, not Cherry's tree, but the other tree.
I have a tree.
Yeah, the Ivern.
Oh, that tree.
Yeah, that tree.
We'll get into that tree when we get into that tree.
We're not in that tree yet.
Oh, I love the confusion right there. Anyway, you were saying.
That was on.
Okay, what about you, Riven?
Wanted to shout out Blade from TD Harmony. Played a really good week. Playing, going. Well, the Yone game wasn't the greatest, but played a really good game on Mordekaiser, going 8-1 and 10 in game 2 against Riftbusters, and then going 10-7 and 11 on an Olaf top that we don't really see too often against a Nasus. So Blade doing really well in their victory over Riftbusters.
Cool. Cherrie?
I don't have a particular MVP for Arbiter. I don't.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine. That just means that, we can move on to the. Anybody see
There
a matchup
is-
next week that they're super interested in?
Well, I did also want to shout out one more player, if anything, for the MVP. Toxin as well on TD Harmony, doing 2 Viego games in a row and popping off in both of them. So, shout out to Toxin. My owner. Alright.
Okay. Well, since you're talking, what's your
Next week matchup.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be Trash Panda versus TD Poro. I think that one is really big in regards to. Well, I mean, granted, I say really big. It's really big for Trash Panda because they want to get into the playoffs, of course. But I suspect that Dynasty Eclipse might FF, given their position. I think they FF this past week too. So if that's the case, then TD Royal just gets 2 free wins. So it might not matter, but in the case that it does, I think Trash Panda versus TD Poro is huge.
Okay. It's definitely going to be a big game. Taco, what about you?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought I muted my mic by accident.
I was about to say you
What
were
up?
Taco.
Yeah, I am the taco.
Yeah.
I got to piggyback right off of TD Riven that Trash Panda and TD Poro is going to be maybe the key game of the week for that division, just because you're both fighting for playoff spots. You're the exact same score, 9-7. So whoever wins gets the playoff spot.
Yeah.
So also, I do want to highlight one more game. Is it gonna? I think it's Spelling Bee champions play against Riftbusters this week, right? This upcoming week, I think that's correct.
Regular season, week 7. Spelling Bee is Riftbusters, yes.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but if Riftbusters wins against Spelling Bee, don't they slide into 4th, or am I wrong? Because I think they're lost. I think the losses, right? So like Riftbusters has 7 losses and Spelling Bee has 4.
So the way we look at it is actually not straight up wins losses. It's not your win percent. You start off by your wins. If your wins are tied, then you're quote unquote tied. Next thing we look at to see if you have a tie is your head to heads. And this way we can prevent 90% of the tiebreakers. If there is still a tiebreaker, it's going to be with 3 or more teams, and that pushes it to gauntlet play. And with gauntlet play, we look at your losses, and the team with the least amount of losses is like the boss of the gauntlet.
Got it. So yeah, Riftbusters versus Spelling Bee next this upcoming week. Really big for both teams. Spelling Bee looking to lock in their playoff spot, and Riftbusters looking to slide into a playoff spot, so they're fighting for playoffs. So that's also a really fun one to keep an eye on.
And you, Cherrie?
I mean, I mentioned it earlier, just the playoff relating matches. I mean, I agree that TD Royal is still probably gonna be able to get the 2-0 over Dynasty, which I think locks them for playoffs, because even if Trash Panda 2-0s, they'd have the same amount of wins. And I don't know if it goes into Gauntlet or if it's just head to head if there's only two teams in that exact same win, exact same loss. But TD Royal did beat Trash Panda when they played in the regular season. So I think if TD Royal gets a 2-0, which they probably should, they should be locked, which means I guess it's on Trash Panda to just win against TD Poro, because then they'd have 11 wins, and then if TD Poro gets 2-0'd, they're at 10, so then they would be eliminated. And that's the important match. I think for Sector 2, Spelling Bee, the Rift Busters match is really important. I feel like that just mathematically determines it as well, so that's
I know the one
really the only important one.
I know the one we are streaming is supposed to be Spelling Bee versus Riftbusters. I am going to try to double stream, and we'll see how it goes. It may get cut off depending on whether or not it lags out the main stream, because Soul and I would be streaming out of the same house. So if it lags up the main one, then I will cut it.
Nice.
Yes. All right. Well,
Something for the viewers to look out for.
Yeah, that concludes Arbiter, which is going to move us on over to Sentinel, and that would be the domain of TD Riven.
It is indeed my domain. So, to recap quickly, all three games this week in Sentinel were 2-0s. NLE Valkyries taking down my team 2-0. Brawn Lives Matter taking out Conduit 2-0. And then Angie taking down Roar 2-0. I guess we can start by talking about NLE versus me, or my team. It was a streamed game, so if you guys are curious about how that one went, you can go and watch how my team got absolutely obliterated. This wasn't our week. I think Taco wanted to ask me some questions, though, so I'm going to open the floor to Taco really quick.
Oh, awesome. I get to pull out my book.
Oh, not the book.
Yeah, the books of knowledge. So, let's go over, what was the game plan?
Game plan?
Yeah, because it didn't look like there was one.
Ooh, hard-hitting questions.
Yeah, because it looks like we looked at the book, we threw the book, and which one do you want to talk about? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, let's go.
It's all like you
All right.
Yeah, we had the game plan. We said, we'll make it up.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
I want to know, actually, in game one, we have this whole, we have TK, Lilia, Oriana, Rel, and just solo AD Twitch.
Yes.
And despite that, enemy team still went Lucidity Volley and then still beat you. So what happened there? What's going on? You drafted a comp that lose to Merc Treads and then didn't even lose to Merc Treads.
Remembering that game, we got behind a little bit early. I think top lane ended up getting solo killed a few times, which TK into Shen, a little unfortunate. Shen gets a little bit of a lead, and then we kind of fought back in that game. I think we had a really good fight around Dragon, where I was able to get a really good Ori ball and Shockwave onto their backline. And we ended up evening it out. I think by like 15 minutes, we were pretty much even into the game. I think the goal difference was only by like 1,000. So pretty much dead even. And then it kind of came down to execution in the end. I think there were a couple fights, if you look back. There's one around Baron where our Twitch was still running to Baron. And then we like engaged like 5 seconds. We were a little bit too trigger happy, and we engaged a little bit early. And didn't work out for us, and then the game kind of just ended. So unlucky. And then game 2 was kind of a disaster because we kind of went into it with a Galio comp with Vi, and in theory, it should be really easy because then you just say, okay, Vi hits the R button, and then I just ult on top of her in a team fight. But I don't think we ever pulled off an R Vi ultimate. We never got that going, so I don't know what happened there. And then I don't know. It was just a disaster on a lot of fronts. I think there's just a lot of miscues and miscommunication on what we wanted to do. So unlucky.
Follow-up question. I'm looking at what it's showing in the Sentinel -win screen channel,
Sure.
and it says that there are two. I mean, it's showing Turbo Chem Tank, and that item got removed. I'm assuming that's just like an API thing where it's supposed to be Hollow Radiance.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure because I was like, I don't think you can buy the. Yeah, I don't think you can buy the Turbo Chem Tank item anymore. So I was just confused at what I was looking at there.
That is really funny. I remember, funnily enough, same thing happened like a few weeks ago, where we're just like, why is everyone in Warden, all these Gallios, why are they buying Turbo Chem Tank? And we're like,
your damage numbers.
That was a really funny conversation, but that's hollow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It was just one hand played fine. He had actually a pretty good series, to be honest. I think for me, mid lane, it was just kind of like, well, I'm gonna play these two.
You also
support your team type
lose.
of champions. I went Ori game 1, Galio game 2. And I was just like, well, I'm just gonna do what I need to do for my team, and then unfortunately, just off days from jungle and top, unfortunately. So
that's my final question to you. NLE Valkyrie is obviously team top of the standings. You guys as well are in a very good position. I think maybe almost locked as well to make playoffs. So this is potentially a match that's going to happen again in a best of 5 setting sometime in the postseason. And my question to you is, are you going to skullfuck them the next time you see them?
Oh, great. Time for the cancellation.
Is the skull fucking gonna come back? The revenge skull fucking, should we say?
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure you were due a cancellation letter this week on the podcast.
I think so. I don't think I ever. I remember. Oh, I don't know. We might need to go back. You can pull it. You can edit it.
Yeah.
Hey, you can.
You watch. It's gonna be there. We're gonna have like a silent spot. I'm gonna make a silent spot.
Funniest thing would be us going on this podcast next week and just being like, Cherrie, canceled. They lost to Roar.
So if we lose to Roar, if we lose to Roar, then I genuinely do deserve it. Like, flame the shit out of me. Like, I will. I mean, that's what you get when you talk shit, right? Like, I'm not unaware. If we lose, then we deserve everything we get.
Trash talk. Don't worry. We will bring it up next week.
Roar, we're buying professional coaches this week.
In the podcast. Last week's.
Listen, I think
it's canceled.
Yeah, the clip. I don't think I ever said I was gonna beat NLE. I did say that I was gonna win the split. So
say Riven, yes.
Yeah. I did remember I said I was gonna win the split. So we'll see. You know, maybe. But I'm still confident. I think the one thing though is like I'm not gonna say too much, but there might be some spice coming with our team this week. But we are up against Angie, so off of us getting blown out by NLE, we now get to try and rebound against Angie. So that'll be fun.
At least it won't hurt as bad.
You know, I think if we at least take a game, I think we lock. Probably.
I mean, it's gonna hurt just as bad, if not worse. I'm sorry. Angie, looking at the amount of points Angie has gotten their org for actions is ungodly. So I mean, I think as of right now they're over like 200 points. Just that team alone. So
it's insane, actually.
Yeah.
It's insane. For Faction War is just the Angie show.
But you gotta think about it. We have the serial killer Riven with us, though.
Yes.
Just saying.
Hey man, I'm excited to face against the Angie guys. I'm friends with them. I was a sub for them at one point, so I'm excited to play against them. Maybe I'll get blown out. And if that's the case, then I'll gladly come on the podcast next week and talk about that skull fucking. But just to continue, because we do have other games to talk about. We did have Angie 2-0 Roar, which does not look like it was not close at all. Wowza. Game 1 was a 30-minute game, which, okay, Outrage is doing his thing, Ultimate's having a great game on Gwen. Doki, unfortunately, going 0-8 on Zac jungle. And then...
Not the MVP.
Not the MVP, and then game 2 was an absolute blasting. And Angie winning that game in 23 minutes with a huge. Outrage. If you just look at all the Angie games, Outrage is like 9-0, like no deaths, like almost double-digit kills or double-digit kills. It's kind of insane. And then, yeah, another silently good game from Ultimus with an Aatrox performance. Brawl Lives Matter. They defeated Conduit in an also not very close series. It's really interesting when you look at these games because then you're like, oh, like all three series looks the exact same, to be honest. Game 1 kind of close, goes to like 30 minutes, 35 minutes, and then Game 2 is an absolute blasting session. So,
I think everybody just got paid up this week.
Yeah, I think the checkbooks were open. I cannot confirm nor deny. But yeah, we'll see. Anything that you guys saw in Sentinel that caught your eye? I mean, it was all 2-0s, so it's not really anything. I think you guys probably just had fun roasting me about my game.
Other than the PayPals, nothing too shocking happened.
Alright, catch us back next week in Sentinel where Riven talks about how he got absolutely destroyed against Angie.
Alright. I'm gonna start pulling up my questionnaire forms now.
Before Riven decides we're out of Sentinel, do you have anything to say to Riven about his fantastical loss this week?
Wait, who lost?
Riven.
Did Riven lose?
Yeah, he got ass
Riven, brother.
He got ass He got paid.
I hope the Venmo was enough to like solidify it, but geez, and podcast, that's crazy behavior, brother.
Yeah, no, I can't disclose the amount, but I'm feeling a little bit richer today. No, kudos to NLE. They did a really great performance from them.
Alright, did you have anything else, Riven?
Honestly, with a week like this, when there's multiple 2-0s, it's just kind of like, it's hard to really... I could throw out some MVPs. Questioning Error, of course, against us, did a phenomenal job in the jungle. And then, what can I not say about Angie? They're just destroying everyone. For Braum Lives, my MVP of the week would probably be Stoic. Really, really good performances in the ADC position from him. So, yeah, that's kind of my MVPs for the week. Next week for games, we do have TD Blast versus Angie, which is being played a day early, I believe, maybe. Our scheduling got a little bit wacko because of I think some players not being available. So we might get the results of that a little bit sooner than we might expect. We have Brawl Lives Matter versus Needlessly Large Rods, which I suspect to be a Brawl Lives Matter victory. And then we have Conduit Prime versus Dropping Point Hellfire. which is more so a game for Conduit Prime to try and solidify themselves into that playoff spot. And I think that's kind of it for Sentinel.
Okay. Well, do remind your team that if you do reschedule, make sure you get that post in. Otherwise, it don't count. Indeed. All right, so Storm, we're going to be moving on to Crusader. You are our only Crusader guy.
I've kind of been staring at the standings for the last week, and so doing it. Congrats to NLE. Their season's done because they have a bye week this week, and we still have to play Galaxy tonight because we also got stuck rescheduling over and over. But right now, technically, I want to say the playoffs for our division are purely based on how we play these next two games. Because I want to say we take one game and we knock NLE out. Because one game ties us and we're winning the head-to-head because we 2-0'd them. I think that's how our tiebreakers work, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then on top of that, we can't do the fraud check on Galaxy yet because we still have to play tonight. But bare minimum also found a way to drop a game to Divine Temple.
I'm very proud of
how
Wuxi and
they
his crew.
managed that one, but they did it. They found a way. I don't know if the Master Doc was right or if they were just missing bans from something, maybe like an e-sub, because it looked like they were missing bans. I could be wrong.
The Master Doc, when it comes to the bans and stuff, that is based off of the API pull, so that one actually can't be code error because that's literally straight API. So that means that they didn't ban something in the lobby bans.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if they purposely weren't banning it because of like an e-sub ruling or what. I have no idea.
We can check and see if the win screen is up for it for sure while you talk about something else.
But Robust is my MVP for expired bans this week. He's also kind of a friend. 2-0'd NLE, so I don't have to try to win more games than I need to. Bless his soul. To then, who else played this week, or is that everybody? Who did or is this Blood Moon's bye week?
It was.
Yeah, it is Blood Moon's bye week.
Yeah.
Blood Moon and Optimal Esports. So
I believe. I don't know if you talked about this, but Summoners After Dark 2-0 Syndicate Strokers as well. That's Sector 2 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
True.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember last week I mentioned that I think Syndicate Strokers could put up a fight. I'm here to report that they in fact did not. Looking at these games, what Summoners After Dark did to them seemed very violent.
Premeditated?
Yeah, premeditated. Game 1, Luxton looked to have been a bit hate crimes. Maybe he should have accepted the VOD review offer. I don't know. Who's to say? But I still figured Summoners After Dark is the strongest looking roster. I thought Syndicate Strokers had a chance to maybe upset, but no, there was no chance. It was violent and brutal and bloody what happened to them. So good for Summoners After Dark. Looking very, very good coming into the playoffs.
Yep. Striker, man. Talked about them last week. They continue to be on an absolute tear. Yeah. Summoners After Dark just doing what they do best, playing around. They basically just played team fight comps and went for it, and they just dominated. We did see a Vel'Koz pick, which that's really cool. We do not see that champion often, so I'm glad that one got thrown out there. That's really fun to see.
Cool.
Yeah, I wasn't able to catch much of the stats from Sector 2, just between us trying to reschedule our game and currently being out on the road. I can't even pull their games to even pull stats to see. But I've just been mostly paying attention to our sector and along with our playoff bracket. And currently, as long as we don't affect the seeding, if we end up knocking NLE out, our first game should be against contingent yellow, I want to say. And if that ends up being the case, I'm actually playing against my other team's jungler, Zilliism or Sodium Hydroxide, whichever you prefer to know him by. And just know he will not get Vi a single game. I refuse to let it through. Not a chance.
Not a chance.
Yeah, you're correct. If you end up knocking out NLE, then yeah, you'll be playing against Contingent Yellow.
As of now, just remember that this can change maybe a little smidgen next week, but basically, yeah, it's pretty set up.
As a segue from that, after last week's podcast, our org owner, the great and glorious leader Beards and Cats, praise be to his name, was a little frustrated at me because I didn't really say anything about Contingent Yellow because I have no idea who they are. But in order to appease the great and powerful leader, I went and I looked at some of the post-match results from the past weeks to, familiarize myself with the other people that apparently play in my org. So, one thing I noticed is that they had a bye last week, and they play their match against OMT Zeus, which it says September 4th, which that's a long way out. So we haven't really seen them do anything since week 4. But just looking at these players, I mean, we have some interesting matchups. Contingent Esports, they did 2-0 Optimal Esports Prodigies. They got kind of hate crimed by Conduit Glory, which, yikes. And the important matchup that I do want to point out is that they did in week 1 2-0 Summoners After Dark. However, that Summoners After Dark roster seems to be very different than the Summoners After Dark roster that I saw, in the most recent weeks. No Striker, no Aeolios. So, essentially, we're going to go into the postseason with Contingent Yellow, if they face Summoners After Dark, playing against pretty much an entirely new roster. I think I will be executed if I say I'm not rooting for Contingent Esports Yellow, so I am rooting for Contingent Esports Yellow.
Execution. Execution.
I mean, I just looked at some of the picks. I mean, they play pretty standard stuff. I saw their jungler have multiple games of Warwick, which, I mean, sure. Nice. Cool. That's fun, wholesome, fresh. I also saw Tejuani games, which, could not be me, but good for them. And yeah, praise Contingent Esports, praise our glorious leader Beards and Cats, and that's all from me.
I can confirm that according to the schedule change post that was made by Beards and Cats, they are playing 9-4 at 8 p.m. So September 4th. Yeah.
Well, I have a game to talk about. The Cage Monkeys. I don't know if anybody else saw or heard about it, but game 1, Glory's top laner just disappeared at level 30. Game 1. And the Cage Monkeys took it in stride. Won game 1, and then I guess they got a real top laner, game 2, and Cage Monkeys lost it. I think they were just flying a little too high, like Icarus. But turned it around in game 3 and kind of curb stomped them again.
Wait, I just realized. Whoa!
Yeah.
Wait, there's an AFK. Oh my god.
I think this takes gives Riven a little bit more leeway.
Wow.
At least you didn't AFK in your match.
At least I didn't AFK in my match.
Granted, I don't know the story behind that.
Listen, I could have been paid more,
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, I mean, you don't want to make it too obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. But I thought that was funny. I guess the horn was just a little too strong and caught him IRL.
Wow. Yeah, the Orn RAM just went through his PC monitor.
Something.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. You never want to see that though.
That's real crazy.
Yeah. And then game 3 they locked in Teemo top. Against Orn. So
Whoa!
Let me pull this up here.
I played against a Caitlyn top against Orin last night. I've seen worse.
Yeah, but I don't think you want your mid laner to be 12-1 and 16 on Smolder.
Oh, wow. Smolder.
When you're going against, like, Smolder's going against Xerath and Wukong versus Xin and Smolder, so
Yeah.
I don't know much to say about that other than you just let them scale and splashed you.
Yeah, that's some crazy stats. Looking at the game, like Timo at 4, 6, and 9. No offense, Glada. You're awesome. I love you, heart. But why Timo? Why Timo? I will never know.
respect it.
I, for one, support this Teemo lock. I think my glorious leader, Beards and Cats, who's a Teemo support main, would not let me dissent against that opinion.
He wants to blind the brittle auto proc, so Ornn as the champion doesn't get to do 700 damage as a full tank because
No, that
Riot
makes sense.
Games does the make a change. Sense. The
Of
whole
course, Storm just
without
totally
the
broke
auto
up for all that.
just one because Ornn is fun and balanced.
I need to find that Orin copy pasta from like 5 years ago. Where like details about what like he's like like does tank damage whatever. I need to find that. It's a really funny one.
Yeah. Gotta say, though, for that game, Slayer definitely carried it. 28 KDA, 12, 1, and 16.
I don't know. Oh, Vendetta did make a guy AFK.
Wait, is it the copy pasta? Welcome to the League of Legends Champion Spotlight, featuring Orange, Mage, Knight, Paladin, Hunter, Rogue, Warrior, Enchanter, Tank, Bruiser, Wizard, Warlock, Priest, Assassin, Gunslinger, Druid, Shaman, Necromancer, Ninja, Gunslinger, Bard, Monk, Robot, Conjurer, Blacksmith, Mystic, Warden, God, Lucius, Templar, Wizard.
Yes.
She may have that.
Now we just need in the podcast just have that lore.
Send it to me. We'll take care of it. Alright.
Oh, see.
Anything else for Crusader?
I think that's it for me. Okay, anything else to add?
Oh, the stats. I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but Slayer has been away for a couple games, and he's still on the top of the leaderboards for mid lane.
And the leaderboard should, let me double check, but they should be looking at people with games of 6 or more.
I think he's played at least 6.
Yeah,
Games played
hold
11.
on.
Slayer 11 games.
I can fix that. Alright, watch this. Your leaderboards are going to change because apparently I forgot to update them. So, edit. Watch this. On the fly paperwork.
Live update.
Yeah, live update.
Yep, there you go. Number 4. For killers.
Search within formulas. Ready, set, go. There you go.
Yeah, he's still at number 4. But he jumped up on KDA to 4th place.
Well, with
It was
that third game last night with the 28 KDA, I bet you he did.
What else was the serial killer? Like, Cage Monkey has a lot of players on like the KDA, Killer, Deathless.
Sorry, yellow seems to be dominating the KDA board, though.
Yellow's KDA, Deathless are all over that leaderboard.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Cherrie, you can be proud.
I am proud. Probably. I think.
They're
I'm
your
pretty
org.
sure
You're
I'm
proud.
Listen,
You're proud.
listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Just
don't really know how
default
the
yes.
faction stuff works, but I assume that's good.
Yeah.
Not a part really anything yet. So
Yeesh. Okay. Storm, do you have anything else?
No, I think we covered most of the matchups, at least in Sector 1, Sector 2. Again, it's not the area I pay attention to. I am curious to go through the champion stats for this week and see how much priority Senna just got. Right allowed that monstrosity to exist.
Let me see. I'll go through the games right now.
Well, there's a champion split stats page on the Crusader.
Well, I'm saying about this week specifically because she did just receive that buff this past week, so it makes her really good as an enchanter.
Hold on. I can tell you how many times she was picked specifically this week, because I also have that. Just it's hidden from you all. Because
if it's terrorizing my solo queue as much as it's terrorizing this league, I'd be interested to know.
I will say the anecdotal evidence I have is that we picked Senna 3 games in a row.
She was picked twice.
Yeah, I know.
See, at least Warden knows what's going on, because that champion is ridiculous.
Yeah, she was picked twice and banned 6 times.
There you go.
Yeah.
She had 0 wins this week, but 2 losses.
That's without the Warden stats, right?
That is just Crusader. That is just Crusader.
Oh, yeah, just Crusader.
Yeah.
Well, if you're losing on Senna, I mean, my condolences to you. We did it once.
That's on you.
Okay.
I cannot look in the mirror after that one, so...
I will say one last thing that I saw that was kind of wild is that we had a Rumble support. Thanks for Expired Bandits.
That's kind of based, though.
We had a Rumble support with Seraphine AP carry.
Wait, it cooks, actually.
Yeah.
The magic thread on E.
Wins a lot of matchups. You just press E on someone, and any bot laner that gets hit with Rumble E just dies. Yep. Rumble just, like, clicks forward and wins.
That's based. That is so based, actually.
Alright, so for Crusader's last week of regular season, week 7, we're looking at Bare Minimum versus Expired Bandits, Clown Gaming, Blood Moon versus Galaxy Gaming, RAR versus Divine Temple, Optimal Esports versus OMT Zeus, Contingent Yellow versus Cage Monkeys, Conduit Glory versus Syndicate Strokers with NLE and Summoners After Dark on buys. Who y'all looking forward to seeing?
I always look forward to seeing how my boy Resilient does. So I'm gonna be looking at Clown Gaming, even though they're first and they're chilling. But I believe it is against Galaxy Gaming, so that's an important game for Galaxy. Just to, we'll see because we'll see how they do tonight, right? So we'll see if our boy.
Oh.
Oh. Oh no. I was just gonna say. Oh, you're fine. I was just gonna say that we'll see how the Clown Gaming versus Galaxy Gaming matchup goes because I believe Storm's gonna be playing against them tonight. So we'll see what position Galaxy is in. I know they're locked into playoffs, but seeding is on the line, and then just look forward to seeing how Resilient does.
Cool. Storm, you?
I want to say Blood Moon's matchup. If there's ever a time you just have a for fun series to have it, seeding wise, this is the game you get to do it. But also, their 2 rosters are almost identical in how they want to play, where they're usually putting a lot of resources towards their top laner and hoping their top laner just has a bigger effect in team fights. So I think it'll actually be a very interesting matchup to watch. Expired Bandits, I think with this roster they're running now, having a much stronger top side, I would probably favor against Bare Minimum, just because I think their mid laner's pool is a lot deeper and plays a lot better into Badgers. On top of the fact their new top laner, I think is probably their hardest winning matchup in that. So I'd want to go the way of Expired Bandits. And then we play Divide Temple. And if I get gapped by a flat top laner, I might leave the league. kidding. But, yeah.
Check in next week.
Right. Check in on Storm status next week at.
Let's see if he's alive.
Right.
I'm looking.
Tragic.
Okay. What about you, Cherrie?
For next week, I'm not really sure if I have something that I'm specifically looking at. I mean, I want to see Contingent Yellow like play for the first time in 3 weeks. I mean, not. I mean, It's one of those things where a lot of like time off from official matches can either do you really good because you get a lot of good practice, or if the practice isn't that good, then you sort of lose your momentum, and that's really bad. So seeing them play and seeing how they return to form after an extended break is going to be very important for their postseason prospects.
Very true, very true. Alright, Taco, what about you?
I gotta say Cage Monkeys. The group of monkeys that are my friends running it. I'm happy that they're winning to go into playoffs. And I think they might have a chance to take Summoners After Darks down if they're all clicking on the same page. But knowing how some players play, that doesn't happen very often. But still have high hopes for them.
Always keep the hopes. Well, we'll get to see how they do. Alright, so I think that covers all of Crusader, and that means we're going to be moving on over to Warden with Taco and Cherrie.
All right, should I just address the elephant in the room first, or?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Well, for those of you that tuned in last week, this is going to be my official statement regarding my match against Raw Street Logic. This is a statement that I've spent a lot of time preparing and writing, and definitely not one that I am reading for the first time live on camera. So, hello, everyone, General, Alexei community. I want to take a moment to address something important following our recent series against Raw Street Logic. First and foremost, I'm thrilled that we ultimately won the series, but I feel it's important to acknowledge a misstep on my part. During the build-up to the matches, I made some strong statements about our performance and our intent to dominate. While our victory was ultimately achieved, we did lose the first game of the series, and I want to address that. I realize now that my confidence may have come across as overestimation of the competition, and I didn't give Raw Street Logic the full respect they deserved. That's not true. Yes, I did. Even though we secured the series win, I regret not maintaining a more grounded and respectful approach throughout the competition. No, I don't. To the fans and supporters, I appreciate your belief in us and your support through every game. I apologize if my earlier statements set expectations that weren't met as perfectly as I had hoped. I assure you that we are committed to learning from every experience and coming back stronger. Thank you for your understanding and continued support. We're looking forward to more challenges ahead and will strive to live up to the high standards we set for ourselves. Best regards, Cherrie.
That totally sounds like an Analyst Steve thing.
I have a question, Cherrie. How much did they pay you to read that?
Nobody paid me anything. I thought it would be really funny if like I chat GPT something 30 seconds before we started the segment.
And
that helps.
she did actually promise to do so if she lost or almost lost last week during the podcast. So
I saw that they lost game 1 and then I got excited. And then
I did too.
and I was like, oh.
Listen, I know you guys are praying on my downfall. I at least appreciate that you're upfront with it.
Yeah.
They only wanted your downfall because they wanted your cancellation letter. That's the only reason that they were going for it. I bet you.
It's like the meme where it's like you just see the group of people with the pitchforks ready to riot, and then you're like, oh, they have to put the pitchforks away.
Guys, if I lost that series, I would be the one stabbing myself with the pitchfork. That would have been so bad.
I just want to point out the fact that, like, your top lane picks for Nectin, and then just... I was watching your stream, and I saw it, like, at, like, 15 minutes, game 1, you guys had, like, tier 2 towers without having a single tower, and had, like, 2 drakes, and then just kind of kept throwing away the objectives. They're like, here, you take it.
What happened that game was we were honestly in a fine enough game state. We just overstayed on a bunch of fights. There's one fight particular between like 27. It was like a really long fight. It was between like 27 minutes and 28 minutes where I had genuinely like no mana the entire fight, and I just forgot that I could just walk into the jungle and get increased mana regen. Like that's on me, gang. It happens. We lost. We skull fucked them the next 2 games anyway. Who cares? Like,
I don't know. Game 2 also looked like the same thing was about to happen, but your mid laner just said, "I got this."
I wasn't worried
And
about game 2. I'm playing fucking Ivern. That champ's broken. Like, who cares? We're going to eventually win.
The tree.
They kept wanting Smolder, and that champ, like, I mean, like, it does stuff, but I don't think that guy on Smolder does stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Mm.
I mean, we lost game 1 to just, like, Viego moment, and I just picked Ivern because nobody can kill anyone through Ivern to guarantee Viego reset, so... I mean, we did it. It worked. We won. Game 3 left of Belva. Cheers. Good draft prep, guys.
Was that the only game this week?
There is the one on street. It was like NLE versus Egonog, and I was busy fighting for my life and my own personal pride, so I didn't really see what happened there. I will turn it over to any informed parties to speak on that match.
Ego not got blasted.
Yeah,
Okay.
it wasn't nice. Like NLE this week just kind of blasted everybody.
I mean, good for them. When we played NLE, I mean, I mentioned this last week, they didn't have their, like, full roster. So, I mean, I assume we're probably going to play them in playoffs at some point, and that'll be fun. Hopefully, their jungler's, like, good. I'm tired of playing against bad players, but I mean, I'm excited. I mean, they seem to be doing good, so I have no reason to believe that they're not good.
If I'm reading the standings correctly, I think most of the teams are just locked in for playoffs right now.
For Warden, yeah, I believe. Click my standings tab here. Yeah, pretty much. I think the only up in the air is really which way NLE and RAR are gonna land.
Yeah.
RAR has a bye next week, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I think
Yeah,
it's
they do.
it's just for
yep, they're on bye. So yeah, it's pretty much that's gonna be what it looks like.
I mean, next week's matches are really important for seeding because we have these top 4 teams, which are 9-3, 9-4, 9-3, and 8-4, and all of the top 4 teams are playing against each other. It's us versus Akuma and Seneca versus NLE. So I think they're, depending on like who wins, who loses, 2-1s, 2-0s, there are a lot of different combinations that can happen in terms of which teams are seeds 1 through seeds 4.
Yeah, y'all's week 7 seems very much to be a determining the final seed placements, so you can see who you're actually matching up against in the playoffs.
Yeah, we play against Akuma. I know I'm very excited to hang out on the Rifts with my good friend AKM Septi. I love that guy. I like playing with him, playing against him. You know, he's a good friend. You know, good wholesome time on the Rift. No skull fucking happening. You know.
Yes.
I would never disrespect Septi like that. He's my goat.
What if Septi is not playing? What if he just felt so bad he's just like, I can't play this week? Are you also gonna step down, or are you just gonna skull fuck the remains?
I don't think they would let me step down. If Septi is not going to be there, I would want to hang out with Septi, but I don't think I'd be allowed to hang out with Septi. So it'd be kind of like a fucked up scenario, to be honest. I hate that we're like putting that energy into the world, to be honest. That's kind of messed up if you really think about it, so I'm going to expect a formal apology next week. on behalf, not to me, but to Septi.
Yep.
He deserves the world, and, you know, we gotta hold ourselves accountable.
Do you see analyst Steve? He will help you write it.
Cool, because it's not going to happen.
Fair enough.
I'm going to tell you, I'll come in next week too, completely forgetting whatever week, forgetting what I said.
He's going to be like, what? I was supposed to do something? Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I forgot what I had for dinner last night, so. Joke's on you.
Alright.
Joke on me at that point.
Does Warden have any MVPs you guys want to point out?
You know, I'm going to give it to Septi for MVP.
I mean, I think Septi is unironically like a very, very big part of that team. I mean, I'm just going to name people that aren't on my team that I think are good, because there's no point in me just like glazing my entire team. They put up with me every week. That's like the ultimate test of League of Legends. Yeah. Okay. For Seneca, their jungler is. I mean, I mentioned this last week. I think their jungler is like a good player. His name's like Terraris or something.
Mhm.
He plays Fiddlesticks, which is like a knock on his personal character, but in terms of winning games of League of Legends, it's pretty good. I mean, he compared to like all the other junglers I've played, he's been a good player. Have been excited to play against him again. I played against anyone else that was good. I know like some of the Akuma players are. I mean, not some of them. I think a lot of almost all of the Akuma players actually. Now that I think about it, are good players. I just haven't played against them yet, so I don't really know how they play. Like who would be the quote unquote MVP.
Mhm.
What are the other good teams? NLE, I guess the mid in the jungle, Profhex and Emrys. I mean, the team looked really bad without them, and they seem to be looking a lot better with them. So, you know, you do the math on that one. And I think all the other teams suck, so no MVPs there.
All right, Storm. What about you?
Yeah, I didn't look at much of theirs. I couldn't find half of it. Our Warden doc doesn't have week 6. I will say, looking at the KDs, Cherrie is leading KDs for players from what I saw.
88 player, that's what I
For
saw.
real,
Yeah, no,
actually.
for real. I play like
Did you not
camps.
see the Morgana game? She just KS'd everything.
Okay,
I
did you
mean-
not see the Morgana game when they walked under tower and killed themselves to me? That's not my fault. That's their fault at that point.
What I'm hearing is Ivern abuser. That's what I'm hearing.
We had
play
the
one
tree.
ga- I played one game of Tree. That, by the way, I think was my 1, 2, 3. That was my 4th game of Ivern ever. I just figured the champ was so broken that we'd win on it anyway. I was right. So shout out to the haters. Shout out to the Tree. That champ makes me go insane. It's very boring because I'm not good at it, but it wins. So there you go.
There you go.
It's okay. If we 2-0 Galaxy tonight, I'll pick Ivern top.
Yeah, see, that's based. You do that. Like, I need my top laners, my solo laners, to start playing Ivern so I can lock in Rengar. That's what we're
the
cooking with.
dream.
The Ivern top Rengar jungle Caitlyn AD.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing but the bush
get it.
comp.
We gonna get the Ivern support next week.
Mm.
Can we see that
Not
be
from
a thing?
us.
I think my support was already mad that we made her play Senna 3 games in a row. I don't think I can convince her to play Ivern right now.
What do you mean? Senna does more than Ivern.
I mean, yeah, but
Don't always have to
you
like the
just walk around
champions.
queuing people.
Yeah.
It's like the most broken champ in the game, but I mean, this version of Senna is not very interesting for a lot of people. I mean, when I played AD Carry, I really liked playing like Redemption Locket Senna back when that was a whole thing. That was fun for me, but I know for most people, people like to pick Senna and shoot things, which good for them, you know. More
Yeah.
power to you.
Back when I mained 80 carry, she was one of my favorite picks just because of she back in the day she had like that crit build where it was like you build like IE and fire cannon first or something. It was really fun.
Damn, we all played AD Carry. We're just terrible people in here, huh?
I guess so.
All right. Is there anything else for Warden before we move on to the last section?
I got nothing.
I don't have much else to add.
All right. Hearing nothing. That actually will move us to our community questions. We do only have one this week, which is from Nacho Chip 21, which is what type of champs would you like to see played in the future instead of the meta? Cherrie?
For me, I have gaslit my team into not locking me the meta, which is like Sedge Maokai. I would like to continue doing that. But in actuality, in terms of jungle meta, for most of the season, a lot of 80 bruisers have been underutilized, and we've come off of a year of like people just playing like Wukong's in, and like R1 B1 R1 calling it a day. And while I don't miss picking Wukong every single game, I mean Wukong just got buffed. I think there's still like a little more power that can be put into these 80 bruisers to get them their viability back. I mean, even like in terms of like slave champions, I haven't seen Trundle Jungle be viable in a while, and I'd much rather play Trundle than like a Sedge or a Maokai, because at least you run at people and you beat the shit out of them. The jungle meta has been very polarizing for most of this split, and it has been a very different meta in competitive than we have seen in a while, which is good for me. I was terrorizing games on Zyra jungle like long before that was an actual real pick, but I can recognize that I am not, I don't have the same playstyle or pool tendencies as every other jungler, and I'm sure that a lot of people miss their Wukongs and they miss their Xin Zhaos.
Okay. Storm, what about you?
Iron top.
Oh man.
We are purely just playing to make someone else not enjoy the game. That champion is actually absurd, especially if you pick a low mobility top laner. I'm not going to say some things about what will get picked tonight, just because we still do have to play.
Yeah.
But I fully intend on being the problem. People need to stop playing Ornn and leaving Ornn up. That champion for a tank does way too fucking much. But in that premise, there's also a lot of people that are just... I wish more people had deeper pools and would actually play counter picks to matchups instead of just handshaking. Because it is so boring to watch tank lanes or AD Bruiser versus AD Bruiser. Like, get some inventive. If someone's going to lock Ornn, play the Vayne. Do it. Ego check. Have fun with it.
There you go. You heard it from Storm. All right, Taco?
I got like 3. And I'm going to be... They're all going to be in the bot lane. I want Zeri back. I want EDC Kindred. And then I also want the old Graves, where you can play in bot lane, back.
Yeah, just rework him back.
Yeah, just rework him back, put him back in the bot lane. Those are the 3 champions I want.
Okay. Riven?
Just take it from the old jungle player in me.
I think as a whole, I'd just like to see, like, the mid. I feel like the mid pool in general has been kind of whack this season, because we had like the first few weeks where it was just all about the ADC mids, and then now it's going back to more of these control mages and whatnot. So I kind of wanted to see, like, we have like the ADC meta, now we have the control mage meta, and now I'm just tired of it. So I just want to see people walking in stuff like Talon and just absolutely blasting people on assassins. So I think that's... I mean, we have Nefiri. There was I think I saw Nefiri being played this past week, and that was really cool. But I would just like to see more assassins.
There was a Nefiri game. I do recall. I believe the Nefiri game was last night in Warden. Because it's
I know Rars picked it.
Yeah, well, I remember one of our casters talking about, alright, so the mid laners should be fine as long as they can count. And then, like, 3 minutes later, you hear the caster going, yeah, they couldn't count. Right.
That's
so I do know it has been played. Now, I think it was Warden, but I'd have to double check.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I just like to see more assassins. I mean, Jace doesn't really count, but Jace kind of counts, but he's not really an assassin in traditional sense. He's just glass cannon. I'm gonna build assassin items and then just hammer on top of you. But I played Jace mid week 1 and it went really well. So looking for I don't know. I just want to see more assassin mids. That's it. And that's coming from me, an assassin player. So.
Right. Okay. Well, there you have a nacho chip. That is what they all say. And thank you everybody who has shown up today for the podcast, because that's all we got, peoples. We are done. So thank you again to Riven, to Storm, to Cherrie, and to Taco for showing up and chilling with me and talking about stuff. And thank you to everyone who listens and watches the podcast. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Adios,
later.
mi amigos.